Level up with the new AAA Commanders MVP membership. Get all the benefits of AAA plus exclusive experiences, discounts, and tickets. Already a AAA member? Upgrade for free at AAA.com/commanders. Hey, babies. Hey, babies. What's up, everybody? How we doing? Hi, everyone. It's Wizard season, everybody. Hi, everyone.
How are you going to make a bad week worse, man? How are you going to do that?
I was already in a bad mood, and now I got to watch them lose to the Bucks. Actually, I can't.
Are they not a national game? I figured that might be a national game. I'm joking.
The Wizards?
Full sarcasm. Full sarcasm.
Yeah, I don't think so. I'll call Zabe and ask him if they are. No, I don't think they are. So, yeah, this is maybe the benefit of the YouTube TV thing. There's certain things I kind of can't watch anymore. Ted, Zach, you want to do something about that or nah? No, you don't want to do anything about that? Cool.
I have joked about that. You could make separate Caps and Wizards plans, and I think that would be a smart idea, but that's probably not going to ever happen.
I would have watched the Caps a little bit last night, but I couldn't.
I mean, that was a good win.
I couldn't.
It was a really good win last night.
Y'all have taken my Joe and Craig away from me. Terrible, 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 terrible. This is a terrible development of 2025. And what are you guys doing about it? Nothing. You sent out a note 2 weeks ago saying this is bad for you, and I could have $3 off my $8 million membership to Monumental if I want to watch them or not.
I mean, I do have to defend them a little bit here. When
no, you don't.
When Hulu and YouTube are not talking with MSG, it means they're not talking with anybody. And so I will say this does go both ways. I wouldn't put it just all 100% on Monumental because that's not the case. I feel like.
Put the games back on my screens, guys. I don't care how you do it, okay?
Right.
I can yell at them about that. Put the games back on my screens, guys, and stop telling me, well, the solution is just to pay me money. No, it isn't, because that ain't commercial free, pal. We're not double dipping here, and I've set a line. That's it. Put it back on my screens. All right, anyway, I'll get to them in a little bit. They did win. You can tell me what happened since I don't know. Let's see. Terry and Devo supposedly back at practice this week. Devo did kind of run around a little bit last week. I was a little bit surprised he didn't play after I saw him on Friday heading into the Sunday game. So hopefully it's nothing that he can't play through. It's a heel injury, and I don't know to what severity it is. And I have a heel injury, and I know what mine feels like, but I don't know if he has the same heel injury, and I can't imagine playing football on my heel right now. So I don't know what his is. Terry, this one's been a little curious, not unlike Noah Brown a little bit, where I thought he was coming back this past week. They said he was going to practice last week. He ended up not practicing. And, listen, I'm not trying to put pressure on injured people. They got to play when they can play. But the time is now, for sure. They need their people back. And, this is what's going on right now is going to be unsustainable. And the offense is starting to turn in a different direction now. And that's just mainly because they don't have their personnel. I mean, that's what's going on. So hopefully they're back. The Jaden stuff doesn't sound great, honestly, that he's going to play this week. But I'll give Mariota half a shot if he can get his two main primary receivers back and the Chiefs can play him straight up instead of I dare you to throw the ball.
No, exactly. Like they need both wide receivers to be back to have any kind of puncher's chance here, whether it's Jaden or Mariota, to be quite honest. Mariota, it's really funny. I know he threw that pick six and then the game was kind of over, but once again, he's really good at these read option fakes. Like he did one right away when he came in and, ripped one off for 15, 20 yards, whatever it was. Like, I know what the score is here against Kansas City. I'm not trying to say that they're, definitively going to have a legit chance here, but maybe you put up a fight for a half or three quarters if he's out there with the two number one wide receivers, where maybe you could also run the ball a little bit. The pathway towards winning is very, very thin here, but those two need to be back no matter who's playing at quarterback to have any kind of shot to win.
Yeah, it's going to be a tough one. I mean, it was going to be a tough one no matter what. It didn't matter if they were fully healthy. It's just a tough spot. Their home record is what it is. They are who they are. They've actually, it's not who you play. It's when you play them. If you played them early in the season, you would have caught their offense not playing like this. All of a sudden, I saw some metrics over the last few weeks where they're like top two at everything and all these advanced metrics. Like, no kidding. They got Rashee Rice back last week. So their receiving core is now healthy. There is a strange thing going on that is mysterious about their left tackle rookie. Josh Simmons. He's not with the team right now, so I'm not really sure what's up with that. But their defense is consistently underrated because of Mahomes and their offense and everything. All the attention goes to them. Their defense is very good. The offensive line is going to get tested immensely this week with Chris Jones, Karlaftis, that group. They're very good on the back end. I mean, this was going to be a tough game no matter what. Without Jaden, it's exponentially tougher, and it does feel impossible without Terry and Debo. So, like hopefully they're going to come back, give them a puncher's chance here, and then I am hoping for whatever the powwow is this week to happen, and that we just get, a better performance out of the defense just in general, and not what it's been the last couple of weeks, that they have the come to Jesus meeting with one another and they can figure out something. Like I kind of landed on, I don't think it's going to continue to be as bad as it was unless everyone kind of quits on each other. And I really don't think that that's going to happen. One of the real strengths of Dan Quinn is the culture build, keep everybody together, don't get on the roller coaster. I know this year is very different than last year, and it was easy to kind of make that sell job when you're 6-2 and you lose a game and you go, guys, it's fine. When you're looking at the schedule and things aren't going very well and the defense is getting shredded, it's hard to keep that, I think, that mentality up when you're 3-4, but I believe they will. And I think things will turn a little bit. How much better can it get, especially when they have the voids at defensive end like they do? I don't know. And this was a tough game no matter what. Like, it's Mahomes on their home field on Monday night. They don't lose a lot of these games, especially at home. It's going to be very tough no matter what condition everything was. So can they keep it together? Can they put together a better performance? Are they very competitive here? Do they show they're a competitive team? And I don't know that they did this on purpose or not. I'd have to ask, but they're not practicing today. And obviously they're playing Monday night. So they're just pushing everything up Thursday, Friday, Saturday, as opposed to Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, when they would have a normal schedule to get ready for a game. That said, this is not what they did a couple weeks ago when they played the Bears. They did Wednesday, Thursday, no Friday, practice Saturday. This week, they're giving them what they're calling an extra day of recovery. And I would liken it to a little bit. I do think it was an extra day for the coaches to hunker down, have some meetings, not get on the field yet, think about what they're doing in its entirety, and hopefully tinker around a little bit, maybe have some meetings with the team leaders, talk to them about what they're seeing, what can they get better at. And then I would hope that what comes out on Thursday when they get on the field is just some kind of refreshed thought processes. That's all. Like, you can't fix everything in a moment. This is a very tough opponent, but it can't be as bad as it was. And so I feel like this extra day hopefully is helpful to get everybody breathe, namaste, hold hands. Everything's going to be fine. And let's just be better than the way we've been. And how can we get there? And hopefully that'll happen.
Well, the other side of this too is with that Cowboys loss. Like that is the type of loss where you do kind of want to flush it as well. Like there was nothing you could take away from that game, especially in the second half, that you can really learn from your team that you didn't know about it already. So that extra day also is a mental reset, which is just as important as a physical reset with this team at this point in time. I know they're very, very injured, and that extra day is going to help there. But honestly, getting away for 2 days off of that loss and then having to get ready for what they've got to take care of on Monday, I'm fine with that. I pointed out yesterday, I thought that was a little bit odd, but at the same time, I don't disagree with it either. I don't know, how much more that would help them if they're working out for that extra day. What I would say here too is, like I said, Dan Quinn actually, I wouldn't say he tipped his hand, but he tipped his schedule a little bit when he said on Monday, we're hunkering down tonight and trying to figure out what's up. And to me, that was like, oh boy, like they're going to be there into the night, wake up, be right back at the facility on Tuesday to help figure out. And then once again, you're here all day, probably Wednesday as well. I'm with you. I have at least a ray of hope that they come up with some way that this team is going to play a little bit better on Monday than they did this past Sunday.
I don't know that they did the schedule on purpose that way. It feels like they did, but I don't know that they did. So I don't want to say that they did, but I do feel like it was the right thing to do. That take a breath. Like to your point, Monday, I couldn't watch football. I had to take a day because it was, I'm very invested in all of this too. And it was really, really disappointing what happened. And it's surprising. And I came into the season eyes wide open, like getting to 12-5 again was going to be very difficult to do just because one, it's very difficult to do. Two, their schedule is absurd. And they started having some injuries and the summer didn't go as well as I thought it might. And so I had this full belief that at some point everything's going to be fine and their quarterback's just kind of too good and they've got the brotherhood and they'll be fine and they'll be a playoff team. But like, will they win the division? I don't know. Will they get to 12 again? That feels unlikely with the schedule that they have. It's just too hard, but like, I didn't really see this coming and I kind of needed. And so like when Quinn said the other day, he answers every question in paragraphs. And when he said, are you surprised by this? And he said, yes, very. I would say the same thing. And I needed a day too, because I just didn't expect performances like the one on Sunday. I knew they were in trouble going down there. They have it's a division game. They don't win a lot down there. There are all sorts of historical things like they haven't won 2 in a row down there in over 10 years and all those. Like Dak has this crazy record against them with crazy stats against them at home. And they were, that's extremely high functioning offense. Our defense was getting worse every week. And we didn't have our studs on offense. So I'm like, on Friday, I'm like, I'm very nervous about this. Like, this is not going to go well. But that spiraled out of control. And it wasn't just that they got beat. It's one thing when you lose and you can sit there and go, well, we didn't have these guys. It was hard for us to do this or this went wrong or this call was terrible or whatever. Like, whatever the case may be, it was kind of everything. Like, they did have a lot of really bad calls against them or ones they didn't get. They also had a bazillion penalties, some of them at inopportune times. They also had a bunch of drops. They also had like just complete breakdowns in the secondary to give up easy plays. They also gave up some big ones that you wish you could get back. Like they also had a couple of really, frankly, bad calls that like set them up in a bad spot. Like the whole thing was a wreck. And I needed a day. I'm like, you know what? I need a day. I almost never do this during the season. Monday, I just was like, I'm not watching this again. I am not going to start getting ready for the next game. And I could barely watch Monday Night Football Monday night. I just turned on The Chair Company, which, oh, by the way, if you need a laugh, best show on television right now. And I'm like, I'm taking a mental break from this just for a day because I need it. And I bet they needed it too. And I really do believe that taking this extra day, whether it was done purposefully or not, it's probably good for everybody. And it's also why I really don't think you're going to see a lot of this moving forward. Like that was as bad as I think it's going to get for a lot of reasons, that were of their own making, a lot of reasons that are out of their control, injuries, and a lot of reasons like this is probably some things that have been kind of bubbling up that need to be addressed that hadn't been fully addressed. I didn't love the way it was publicly messaged what was going on with the defense for a few weeks. Like I pointed out last week when Joe Witt was trying to sell, we just need to be 1% better in this one specific category that nobody talks about or uses as a metric. And yes, tackling needs to be good, but to sit there and sell that that's the reason why the defense isn't performing at where it needs to be. I thought was a very tough sell to make at the time. And that wasn't they missed some tackles again, but every team does. And that wasn't the reason why they lost the way they lost the other day. It wasn't because they missed a couple of tackles. It was because kind of the whole unit did not function very well and we're not on the same page. And so I think they've needed 48 hours to sit down, talk, get everybody back together. I'm glad that this group is not like the outside people who are banging at the gate doors asking for blood, because we lived that, guys, for a long time where we had a dysfunctional organization that did rash, impulsive things after a couple of bad games. And you know what? It doesn't make anything any better. We're all in this together. I trust that this coaching staff will get it right. I trust that this locker room will be better. Are they marginalized to a point where it's going to be hard to win on Monday? Yeah, it looks that way. It does. But it doesn't mean they can't get better. And it doesn't mean the season's over. So I'm really hoping that, everybody kind of comes together, comes up with a pretty good game plan, and we just have a much better effort in general on Monday night. Give themselves a chance to win, and let's see how it all works out.
To your point on the sell job too, the Joe Witt Jr., we just need to be 1% better, falls completely flat when you kind of need to be 50% better to even have a puncher's chance against some of these teams. So I would say too, back to the drawing board on the messaging a little bit as well, because it's not just that, it is quite different. When you're saying, oh, we need to be 1% better, and then Dan Quinn on Monday and on Sunday after the game we need to go back to the drawing board and everything's on the table. That means it was not just 1%. And it means that it wasn't just one bad game. It means that we've been barreling towards this result, essentially, of having a really bad outing against a really good offensive team. essentially. So that's the other side here is like you do need a little bit of the messaging. And to your point of like people that want blood, whatever, like it is always funny with this fan base. I call it the trauma that pops up where people want these wholesale changes very, very fast and are very dismissive of what happened a year ago. I get it, 2024 is 2024, but you don't just throw that away after 7 weeks of this season either,
No.
especially when you look at what's on the table of Jaden hasn't been out there. Terry hasn't practiced. Cliff made a great point of his offense hasn't even practiced together. The defense, yes, we know that they can be better, but there's also still over half of a season left here. Like, it's very much Will Ferrell in the locker room. We got to keep our composure here. Can't let anyone freaking out. That's kind of what I'm at this point right now. I'm not out for blood, and I think everyone needs to be just a touch more patient. I get why you're angry, but put the chair down, essentially.
There's 10 games left. The season is far from over. I still believe they have enough. I'll say this again. I think there is enough talent to be better than this. And so I believe that they could be. Now, they're going to need a little bit of luck with the injuries. This can't continue without all of their top receivers. It's just not going to work out. We've got to try to figure out a way to keep Jaden healthy. I don't know if he's going to play this week. Otherwise, we're in trouble. And they do have to do a couple of things that I think are going to be interesting tweaks. And these are some of the tests for the coaches. What do they do at defensive end? There is a long list of, trade bait type people that are out there as we approach the deadline, which is just now a couple weeks away. I really don't see a scenario by which the Commanders give up any big asset because they're already short on draft picks next year. Like, we can all agree that whatever you want to call it, recalibration or reboot or whatever you want to call it, it does start with getting some young talent in here. And I know they're trying to thread the needle because Jaden is so ahead of the curve and trying to win now and still build a new team. But I don't know that doubling down by like giving up a second round pick or a first round pick or something like that for like a primary player doesn't feel like the way to go at this point in time. And I think it'd be something you'd regret, especially if you went after another older player and you're going to start getting hit over the head by how many older players are you going to have on this team? Because that age thing, it leads to experience, leadership. Hopefully you're going to see that for the rest of the season. And it also adds to aging, slowing down, like all of that stuff kind of falls into, like they're threading a needle here. They're trying to, and it's dangerous. So what do they do at defensive end? That's going to be an interesting thing. I would doubt that Quinn or Witt are going to tell us what they plan on doing, but Quinn did kind of like lay out some crumbs and was like, you probably are going to see some of the things that we were doing the other day once Dorrance Armstrong went out. Frankie Louvu suddenly looked like a defensive end at times. Javon Kinlaw did play on the edge a couple of times. Deron Payne has done this before where they've put him out there. I don't know that I want to mess with Kinlaw and Payne on the interior very much because they've been so dominant together at times that, like, I don't know if you want to fix a problem by breaking something that's working. So that's an interesting question that they have to answer. Do you move them around when, as a combo, they've just been really outstanding up the middle? Do we see more of this 5 defensive lineman look that we got a year ago where you put a larger body, Sheldon Day, Eddie Goldman in the middle? They just brought Jalen Holmes back. That seems to be like someone who's going to go into that slot. What do they do there? I'm not sure. Are they going to play Von Miller a ton now? I don't know. I don't think that was the intention when they signed him, but we are where we are. So I'll be interested to see what they do here. And this is part of the tough hand they've been dealt, to get that many injuries at one spot and none of them are coming back. Like, it'd be one thing to be like, well, one of them will be back in a couple weeks. They're not coming, but none of them are coming back. That is a tough hand that they've been dealt here.
Yeah, especially with the, like you're talking about, Payne and Kinlaw. It's the only thing that the defense seemingly forces the other teams to do. That forces any runs outside. It forces teams to pass, like, a little bit more probably. It's the only nudge you can give another team's offense, having those two together in the middle of that line. It's the literal only thing that forces a team to change up what they're doing just a touch. But at the same time, once again, all these guys are having career days anyways. So if you do want to break them up, I'm all ears for it. Like, I'm open to everything at this point, including breaking those guys out and put them on the edge.
Yeah, I'm open to all ideas, obviously. And, one more point just on the there will be blood people that are out there. I just like, do you really think you would work in a front office if you were, every time something went wrong, someone had to be fired? Like, we make fun of the owners that do that.
Right.
We do. We may like the only time that I'm like kind of in favor of something like that is if it is so readily apparent that the person just doesn't want to be here. Like there's just he's just not connected, doesn't want to be here, wants to be. Then I think you have to remove somebody in that way. But I'll reiterate after rewatching yesterday, and I'll go through the review in a second. I don't see an effort problem. Like there are a lot of issues that they need to clean up, but that's not the problem here. So this isn't about these guys wanting to do well and play hard. They are, and it even continued into the second half when things kind of unraveled. By the end of the game, Dallas was just kind of running the clock, and I think Washington was complicit in letting them run the clock and even pulled some people off of the field, I think to allow let's just lick our wounds and go home, and so they kind of let the clock run out. But outside of that, up to that point, the fight was there, and I'm not worried about that part. They're probably very discouraged, and I think there's a lot of discussion about what do we do, but we need to do it together. But I don't see an effort problem, so that's the good news here. As we do the AAA review, Commanders fans, this is for you. Level up with the new AAA Commanders MVP membership. Get all the benefits of AAA like 24/7 roadside assistance plus 15% off Commanders gear at the online pro shop, chances to win game tickets, access to exclusive MVP events, and unforgettable experiences. Already a AAA member? Add the Commanders MVP upgrade for free. Head to AAA.com/Commanders to join the squad and put your fandom in drive. All right, a couple of things off of reviewing the tape outside of, I don't know what they're going to do at defensive end, but that's not a review problem. You got a personnel problem now. So what are you going to do about it? But I will say this, if there are things that would potentially change, right? What are we going to do in the secondary? Like, I do think if there are some tweaks here that a rotation could be coming. I am not sitting Marshawn Lattimore entirely and not playing him any longer. However, do I see a scenario by which now that Jonathan Jones is healthy and playing again, that either he goes on the outside or potentially Sandra still goes on the outside and Jones to the inside? Marshawn is not an inside corner, so that's not a solution to me. And rotate it a little bit so he's out there, but maybe not for the full packages. Yeah, I could see that. Amos has had a tremendous rookie season. Moving Sanders still again, because he's been a little up and down, I'm not sure I would be surprised that they did it, but I know they love him there, are very bullish about him there. He's the only corner with interceptions at this point. So moving him around is a dangerous thing to do, in the same way that I would talk about moving Kinlaw and Payne. You might have to do what you have to do, but that's the one thing that's working is the two of them up there. Sanderstill's been a little up and down, but at least he's getting his hands on the ball. Could I see a rotation at the corners where Jones plays a little bit more and Marshawn plays a little bit less? Yeah, I could see that.
The other side with Sanderstill too is, I don't want to get this into like a Sam Cosmi situation because I don't think it's really kind of apples to oranges, but it is apples to oranges. But with Sanderstill, he played outside last year too. Remember, he was forced to play there for a little while and towards the end of the year anyways. So it's not like he hasn't done it. And it's also not like he didn't hold his own there too in some really clutch games for them. I know it's probably not his natural position at this point, but I think you're trying to look for any kind of solution here, and I think that's got to be one of them that's on the table. Maybe it's not all of the time, but at the same time, he was good enough last year to lock things down quite a bit down the stretch for some really important games for them. I think you have to look at that and, possibly, having the trio of Amos, Sanderstill, and Jones on the field at the same time. I know that's going to ease up some people, at least that Lattimore's not out there 100% of the time. He was on the field for 96% of the snaps or something on Sunday,
Yes.
Which I don't think it can be that much with him anymore. He's got to, that has to be reduced.
I would say a rotation. I'm not calling for a benching. I'm not calling for him to not play. I just think maybe a rotation. And the other one too, lost in this, the corner who had a great camp was Noah Igbenogany. Now that feels like eons ago. But he did. And he's not playing very much because he's buried on the depth chart and then got linked to potentially a trade situation because he's on a one-year deal and he's not playing very much. And so I'd understand that. If they're going to get an asset for him, I would understand that. However, this also is an option to put in the slot, maybe move Sanderstill outside a little bit more. Maybe they play a little bit of both. Maybe that's the switch up. You don't know which secondary players are playing when, and hopefully that offers a little bit of confusion for an offense. So he's another one that I know, not unlike Lattimore, his biggest issue is they get a lot of penalties drawn on him. And I know that that's the part about his game that they're always worried about, but we're looking for answers here. He was outstanding in camp, and I felt like he had earned himself some time. Now, this feels like a long time ago now, but maybe he's an option in the slot if they're going to consider giving Sandra Still maybe some outside opportunities as they rotate people around.
No, exactly. Like that's the way I think it just needs to be here. The only solution is to play the players that you have. This is where I was kind of saying, yesterday and last week, where it's not like there's these young players knocking down the door to, oh, that's an obvious solution. But what you can do is give the guys a chance that are behind them on the depth chart. And I'm not saying give them 100% of the snaps. I'm saying get that rotation going. Get it so you can at least see what you got. And then if he gets burned a bunch, well, it's back to the drawing board again, right? So that's where I'm at this point. You have to try something. You got to rearrange something with the way that the defense is playing at this point.
The other one, and I think I haven't heard a lot of people talk about this, and this on review, because so much focus is on the defense and what went wrong there. I think it's like what happened with the offense got a little bit, I don't know, swept under the rug a little bit. But the offensive line had a really rough outing in this game. Josh Connerly had a rough outing in this game. Sam Cosmi was, and I'm not going to go after him because he hadn't played, since January. It's his first game off the knee injury. He'd only been practicing a couple of weeks. So I don't want to go, but, he was, as I like to put it, getting his sea legs back a little bit. And I trust he's going to be fine. But for a first go, there were a few reps in there where he got really knocked back pretty hard, so, and I think some of that is just game speed again. He's got to get used to playing at game speed again. But Odigizua was in the backfield a lot. I remembered watching the game and seeing them rush a lot. I don't recall, when I rewatched, they rushed 4 a lot and were winning a ton with it. They had an interesting plan. They had either Kenneth Murray or Shamar James in basically as a spy on Jaden. And the second, especially James, who caused the fumble, the second that they realized he wasn't running, he just took off right at him. So it was an interesting plan that they had. And, considering how bad their defense had been, it was surprising to see how effective it was, because I do believe the strength of this team is the offensive line. And it just wasn't a good day across the board for them. So largely, I thought that they've, as a unit, since making the changes early in the season, have been very good and very proficient. And maybe the numbers running-wise aren't there, but that's been math in the box. That was not the case on this one. I think the offensive line had a really, really rough outing, and hopefully there's a bounce back coming here.
Yeah, I think the factor here too is, you mentioned this yesterday. They were daring, the Commanders to pass the ball too. So they also,
what? It was less than what I thought. The Bears really did that. The Bears were like, you ain't running the ball. And they got burned for it a couple times, actually, for doing that. The Cowboys, it actually wasn't as much as I remember all these people in the box, but they rushed 4 far more often than I remembered that way, which is why I'm saying I don't think this was a great day for the offensive line. I think they got confused. At times they were overwhelmed, especially on the right side. They had a really hard day the other day.
It also, though, doesn't help that, this offense has no speed to it right now, too. Like, Jaden was not going fast to anybody, right? Because Luke McCaffrey, Jalen Lane, Robbie Chosen, Moore, whoever you want to pick, those aren't the fastest guys in the world either. So I think the development of the offense is right now, too, it is literally stagnant. There's no speed to it at this moment in time. And I think that doesn't help either. So you have Jaden waiting for things to develop, and then the offensive line has to kind of hold up for half a second longer, which is an eternity when it comes to to an offense. So I think that's the other problem here too, is it with that offense, there's no speed to it. So all of a sudden, I think things look even worse, like they're almost in quicksand a little bit.
Yeah. Listen, the timing is so necessary. They haven't practiced much together. Jaden missed a few weeks earlier already this year. So Terry and Noah are gone, but Jaden's not even practicing with these other receivers who are out there with Mariota. And then he finally comes back. And some of these players you think are going to come back, but they don't. And so the timing is off. And so when I bring up this last point, which is the mistakes piled up, including Jaden missing. Okay.
Yep.
Like, I think it was a little underrated too. He sailed one on Ertz pretty badly. He had a couple of other misses, but a couple of the other misses felt like timing things. Like, had he been working with these people a little bit longer, maybe it would have been there. There were a couple really bad missed throws, like the Ertz, shot was bad. But they're also their own worst enemy at times. Like, this team can't afford drops, and they're having a ton of them. And Ertz had a bad one early in the game when they were going to be aggressive. And we can discuss whether they should have been that early being that aggressive to go for a 4th and 3. They have a false start. So they blow up that drive. There was a secondary drop. It was the penalties are killing them. Like, this has been the part of it too. And I kind of attribute a lot of it to this group is never working together. And so I'm not trying to just protect everybody. Like, I'll tell you what I see, but like, Jaden's a little bit off, a little bit more than he was a year ago. But then I think about the whole and I go, when's he been practicing with these people? And like, every week it's something different. And then Robbie Chosen's their leading receiver. Robbie Chosen was on the practice squad as of 2 weeks ago. So I'm trying to be careful about being critical about it, but it's all adding up. And yet they still ended up with 20 points, which is practically amazing, with no short field, no takeaways again. So they're cobbling things together. It's just not enough. And this is why I keep saying they've got to get their guys back. Like, the teams aren't going to take them seriously. There's not enough timing on the outside. And it doesn't mean that him and Terry are going to get back at it just like that, but they've got to get them back out there. And hopefully in a couple of weeks, you'll start to see the dynamic, explosive playmaking ability, but they got to get their guys back.
I think what sucks though about the drops though is that started in training camp and in preseason. Like, preseason, yes. We had 2 concerns in those preseason games. And granted, the one drive the starting offense was out there, they ran it 4 times against the Bengals, scored, and that was it, right? But
it was a mirage.
Right. But at the same time, when the receivers that were out there were playing, there were a ton of drops and there were a ton of penalties with a lot of the starters on offense too. I know Jaden wasn't out there, but those are the 2 things that we were all waving the red flags for. And those are the things that have reared their head all the way till now still. They take a lot of penalties and there's a lot of drops. And I've told you this, like, this offense, it seems, if they're going to be successful, I shouldn't even say the offense, the team in general, if they're going to succeed, they can't shoot themselves in the foot. Well, when you're dropping balls and you're having penalties, and then you add in a couple of Jaden misses instead of being on point, it's a recipe for disaster right now. When it's going sideways, it's going really sideways with them.
Yeah, they can't afford it anymore. 2 of the next 3 games are against front runners for the Super Bowl, Detroit and Kansas City.
Yeah,
right. It just, you can't beat yourself. You can't do it. All right, let me take a quick break. Bram, what's the show? ESPN 630, Sports Capital. All right, welcome back. A bunch of things are going on in the NFL that are worth discussing. One, it's rare that you see an owner actually go after his own starting quarterback and just shred him. But Woody Johnson did yesterday when asked about a lot of things, because he did an availability. I don't know why, because they didn't fire anybody, but he did an availability. And he defended Aaron Glenn, who's at 0-7, and it's been really, really bad, and said, well, when you have a starting quarterback that is as bad as ours, well, then your record's going to be really bad. So he just ripped Fields. Aaron Glenn has not said who the starting quarterback will be moving forward, but it's pretty clear when the owner says this guy sucks, that is, you don't need to get an actual formal memo from the owner. So this is Tyrod Taylor's team. And for Justin Fields, frankly, after hearing that from the owner, I'd almost want to be cut, because I don't think I'd want to be there anymore.
No, 100%. What I would say here too is, what is Fields doing that you didn't sign up for? Like, we know he's a mobile quarterback. He does not run a normal offense. I know it's been bad, but at the same time,
like, 2 weeks have been really bad. I mean, -10 passing yards. That's almost impossible. That's terrible.
Sure, but it's not like this guy told you he was this amazing pocket passer by any means. So I would say, like, you're the one that picked the player. And by the way, you gave him $30 million guaranteed for 2 years. Like, you're the one that made that call. So I'm just saying.
Yeah, that's your handpicked GM that you hired that did that. Like, you fired Joe Douglas last year. You have a new GM. Your GM picked this person over Aaron Rodgers.
Right. So I'm kind of saying this here too. Like, I don't think I get it. He hasn't been good. I'm not disagreeing with you on that. but you made this decision. And these are the types of things you and I have witnessed this for years. This isn't going to make anything better. It's not like it's going to make Justin Fields play better or the team play harder.
That's right.
This is the Jets being the Jets here, and that's what I actually don't like about it the most. Is he didn't have to say this, and now you get a situation where Fields he has to answer the questions from the press today about what the owner said to him. So have fun with that, Jets. Jets land over there.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm Aaron Glenn, I immediately name Tyrod Taylor the starter so that he has to do the press conference, and I would tell Justin Fields, we may go back to you, but. Right. In this environment right now, it's not good for you. You don't need to answer these questions. And you need to say, I have your back. And I have your back right here and right now. So I'll go back to what we were talking about earlier. For all the people who are at the Ashburn gates looking for blood, is this what you want? Because this is what's happened. This is what this looks like when you have rash, crazy decisions that were made early. Yes, their season's over. They're 0-7. I get it. But that is, he's under contract for another year now. That's an outrageous thing for the owner to do, to just bury the guy and say he's basically worthless to them.
Yes.
And is that what you want? Because I don't want that. We didn't have our owner doing that publicly because he didn't do interviews, but he was doing it privately, and it. So do not wish that for anything. We need to stay together here. Calm down, stop overreacting to everything. They're not playing very well right now. It can get a lot better, but the only way it can get a lot better is everybody stays on the same page here and works together to get it better, and nobody goes off shooting their mouth like that and is like, well, if our guy wasn't the worst ever, maybe we'd be better. How does that work out?
The other thing here, too, is this is just a dumb decision from an asset management standpoint. You might have been able to coax a 6th-round pick out of some team to trade for him. That salary, while you are giving him $30 million, is not crazy for a starting quarterback. Let's just say Lamar's hamstring got worse this week and he isn't going to play. Maybe the Ravens make a trade for him. Maybe San Francisco thinks that they could be a little bit better with him. Maybe there's another team out there that just says, hey, we're going to take a shot by throwing you a pick. That's the other thing here. The owner devalued his own asset here too. So this is where this just doesn't work when you kind of go nuclear on certain situations.
I'm with you on Baltimore, actually. Is him as a backup there. I wonder how they'd feel about having him right now with Lamar hurt. They might feel a little bit differently about that. Let's see. Sean Payton was classless the other day. By coming out after the game that they won and saying, we had hoped, and I kind of said this too, but in a nicer way about it.
You're not a coach.
I know. I said going into week 1, we're catching a break, getting Russ over what we don't know, and there's no chance on earth by the time we play them again that this guy won't be playing one way or the other. He's ahead of the curve. He could be the rookie of the year. I mean, he's really had a very good start. The energy's totally different around them. But for Payton to come out and say, based on the relationship he had with Russ, that we had hoped that they would make this decision later because we would have preferred to have played him, was classless. And I say what you want about Russ, and him saying anything is going to bring all the knives out on him for all these other reasons. But that was really wrong. Come on, man. This dude, I think this dude has brought some of this stuff on himself. There's a little bit of the RG3 me stuff. And similarly, there's a lot of corny stuff that he does on social media. And I don't know how he is in the locker rooms, but a lot of his teammates don't seem to have loved the experience of playing with him. And so I'll hear all of that. But his career kind of speaks for itself. He's a Super Bowl champion. He's a borderline Hall of Famer. He is, when we played him, I was citing all these things. I'm like, you may not believe this because of the last few years, but he's top 10 in a lot of categories all time. That was really wrong. You all made your decisions. You made his life hell. You got rid of him. You embarrassed him. Leave it be. That's enough. And and you guys won. It wasn't you lost. You guys won. So I actually am on Russ's side here. That was classless what he did.
I get it with Russ. You mentioned it. He was kind of corny, did some weird decision stuff, but he's backed off of that as of late. And remember you were telling me that you talked to Giants people and they were they actually love him in that locker room now. And so you know what? This happens too, where players do overstep it, but the great ones, they actually learn, okay, I need to be a little bit better. maybe off the field. Or
we had this with Carson Wentz the year he was here. Yeah, he didn't perform that well, and that's why he's not here anymore. But like, he kind of openly admitted, like, I changed after the experience in Philadelphia, and I needed time to change. And that, I think Baker will probably tell you a little bit of the same thing. I think, in a different way, some players like Darnold probably feels very different about his career now than he did early in his career. And, like, some of them start really well. Russ did. Some of them start really poorly. Sam did. And their careers go in different ways. And I just agree with Russ here. That was totally unnecessary to have been criticized that way.
And here's the thing. The track record of Sean Payton making these douchebag statements is long. Like, this is the type of coach he is. Sean Payton's not a great guy or anything. He does this often. Luckily, he's good at winning football games. So a lot of it gets.
He's a great coach. His record speaks for itself too.
100%. But like, he has a track record of this, and I don't know if I'm that team and I'm that ownership. I'm kind of pissed that my team scored 33 points in the fourth quarter, and he still had it on his mind to take a shot at the backup quarterback. Like,
I know
there's a lot going into that I hope people aren't shuffling under the rug. And I'm glad Russ fired back too, because that's one where you go, you're still thinking about me when you win that game, and I didn't even play. Good for Russ for standing up for himself too, because a head coach of that age, by the way, shouldn't be making that shot. So good for Russ. I'm on Team Russ here, and I'm glad he shot back too, because he could have not said anything, but that's one that's worth firing back on.
All right, let me take a quick break. Brave Watch the Show, ESPN 630 at Sports Capital. Commanders fans, this is for you. Level up with the new AAA Commanders MVP membership. Get all the benefits of AAA, like 24/7 roadside assistance, plus 15% off Commanders gear at the online pro shop, chances to win game tickets, access to exclusive MVP events, and unforgettable experiences. Already a AAA member? Add the Commanders MVP upgrade for free. Head to AAA.com/Commanders to join the squad and put your fandom in drive. The NBA started last night. There was no opening night for LeBron James because he has sciatica and he was out. I saw this tweet that I thought was amazing because it's the first time that there's been an opening night without him. And it was BetMGM that put this out. USB flash drives didn't exist. Chappelle's show hadn't debuted yet. Facebook hadn't been launched. And Kelly Clarkson had just won the American Idol. That's the last time that the NBA had an opening night without LeBron James, and probably in the not too distant future won't have any more of them at all, because this very well may be his last year.
Yeah, no, I saw that stat as well. That was ridiculous. I was in grade school at the time. So yeah, had been a while. And not only that, Lakers fans already souring on their team because they lost the first game of the season. So that's a tradition unlike any other at this point.
I was having an argument with somebody. I'm like, they're not going to be good this year. Like they're a middle of the road, probably a playoff team because they have Luka and LeBron. So how are they not a playoff team? But where are they going with that group? Like I don't really know where. I do want to mention this too. Stephen A is ramping up his beef with him again, probably because he thinks it's good for ratings to sit there and kind of go after him. And then, did you see this clip where he now is defending Kyrie Irving's position on the vaccine and decision not to take it a few years ago? Did you see this?
I didn't, but that's like so eons ago in the news cycle at this point. I don't know why it's even worth being brought up at this point.
Because he wants to get into the political space and he's trying to play both sides, and he is pandering to the anti-vaccine community. And he says, we now know that he was right. And all of these people are writing, what are you talking about? And so I don't know. He's losing the story for me. He really is.
To steal the quote that was, spit at LeBron, stick to sports, Stephen A. I do not come to you for these types of opinions. I want you to yell and scream about LeBron on the court and everyone else on the court. I'm good on all of your other opinions at this point.
He is really, really, really trying to ramp up. I think he wants to have another altercation with LeBron too, because I think he liked it for some reason.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, absolutely. Definitely.
Yeah. So he's turning into a troll a little bit, which I never really actually saw him as. Yeah, he's very opinionated, very good at being opinionated. But the difference between him and Skip for me forever was his was founded in sourcing reporting, sourcing, and yeah, some of his opinions might go out of bounds, whatever. But like, it wasn't just throw like crap on the wall and see what sticks.
Yeah.
And now he's starting to do that a little bit, and I don't really love that for him. But
it tells me
whatever.
too that
He's the one making $100 million as a broadcaster. So who am I to judge, really?
Sure. It also tells you too, though, when that starts to happen, you've watched media long enough that he feels like he's kind of losing, his pull in the media a little bit too. Like when you start being a little bit desperate on that, and that's what I've read right away. I'm like, why are you beefing with LeBron?
Yeah.
Like it was bad too. Some of the quotes that he was saying, I'm like, he's not even playing tonight. Why do you care about this? So it's a little ridiculous.
I mean, he should just go on Joe Rogan's podcast. I don't know what he's waiting for. Like,
yeah, right.
Go do it. What are you waiting for? Right. You know what time it is? Wizard season.
What's that abbreviation? What is that? That's not
that.
WZD is not.
You like it?
No.
I do. No, I thought for sure you would like this. I came up with this morning. WZD SZN Wizard Season. That's good. Oh no, I think it's good. It's going on a hat, and people may buy it. You're gonna like it.
Do you like Run DMC style, like that?
Yeah.
With that, yeah. All right, have fun with that. I will not.
It's pretty good. It's pretty good. The question is, because I don't know what their colors are anymore, I don't know what colors I would put it in. If I knew what their color, I might go Boundary Stone with it. It's possible.
No. They don't have Boundary Stones. They went back to the gold jerseys for their alternate.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. Because nobody knew what the Boundary Stones were. Nobody had ever heard of that.
No, that's not. No, you're wrong on that front. It's the NBA. They get new uniforms every year now. It's not even about that. They get new uniforms every single year.
But their reasoning of this is why we are this was I've lived here my whole life. I'd never heard of that.
Just because you didn't hear about it doesn't mean it wasn't a thing. They wore them for 2 years.
It means most people haven't heard of it. That's what it means.
I knew what they were.
I know everything. It just means I know that most people don't know what that is. And I don't know why you refuse to get off of this and pretend like everybody knew what the Boundary Stones were. Nobody knows what the Boundary Stones are.
God forbid one team in this city do something original. You're getting mad at them for doing that. So, I mean, I'm just saying.
Okay, that I didn't know about the Demon Cats either until the name thing came up, and the team could be the Demon Cats, and everybody would be like, I didn't even know that existed.
I don't have any energy to yell at you about Wizards uniforms. I can't do it. I don't have the bandwidth for it.
Wizard season, WZD SZN. I think I've come up with a good one. I am not going to pretend that I am a branding mastermind, but I think this one is pretty good.
Print them up, man. Have fun with that.
I like to play around with the chyrons on YouTube, as you know. I have this secret desire to write headlines for the New York Post. I think I'd be good at it if given the opportunity. All right, last one real quick. Ryan Leonard scored again. I read about it. I didn't see it. Ted and Zach. And the Caps, again, this is like 2 out of 3 where they outshot a team like crazy. So, and they won last night.
Yeah, this was an easy one for them. Kraken, second half of a back-to-back, of course, on a West Coast to East Coast trip. They had to make a bunch of call-ups, too, from the AHL. Like, they had to call up Matt Murray. Murray's been in the AHL for a year now. Like, he's fallen from, the Penguins to the Maple Leafs to now the AHL, essentially. This was one they had to have. What I'll say here, though, the takeaway is 4 power play. They've scored on the power play 4 games in a row now, so that seems to be kind of back here a little bit. And last night, they kind of kept some of those same lines from the end of the Vancouver game where they were pairing some of these young guys with some of the more veteran pieces. The lines were rolling a little bit last night. Again, let's see what happens Friday in Columbus. And then they get the Senators on Saturday. Let's see what happens against 2 a little more buttoned up teams, but I really like what I saw last night, especially with the bounce back from those guys.
So they got a layup. They took it.
Yeah,
there will be no layup in Wizard season. That's for sure. I saw their win total this year is set at 21.
So like 6 more games than last year. I mean, that is improving. 21.
Oh man. Yeah, I'm not buying any app from you for that. So. Y'all need to get this stuff on my screens, okay?
What's the I always like to do this bit. What if you're gonna buy a Wizards jersey, what's the Wizards jersey you buy this year? I don't even know.
Right now?
Yeah, like Star?
Gilbert Arenas?
Yeah, classic of Mitchell and Ness jersey. I think it's Star, I guess. I don't know.
I think it's been since 2007. Gilbert Arenas.
Kispert? Kispert still
No.
on there?
No.
You're out. Yeah,
Yeah,
I don't
let's see how this guy from Texas does. If he's good, then maybe him. We'll see.
Right. Yeah.
All right, everybody. Talk to you tomorrow. Bray wants to show ESPN 630, the Sports Capital.